Hey everybody, Phantom Shadow here. Welcome back to more Root Film. Let's continue. Oh, hello there. Kazuya calls out to Riho as she and Manabe approach Fumonen. He was noticeably carrying a bundled up cleaning cloth. Kazuya, how come you're not at the estate? I left with the inspector's approval. I'm here with Lady Ryoko. She's cleaning the Kotoshiro family graveyard. They should be holding the questioning in a bit, but given that I was with the inspector the whole time, they don't see me as a suspect. You must be relieved that Inspector Manba can serve as a witness for you. Yes, to begin with, when we heard the screams, none of the people in the estate were near the room. It must have been an intruder, yes? That sounds possible. I hope so. Kazuya, just to make sure, but no one entered the room while Seiji was doing the ritual, right? Quite sure no one entered, yes. I was in the opposite room and my door was open. I had a clear view of the door to the seclusion room. So yes, I don't believe anyone entered the room. Plus, if anyone passed through the corridor, Lady Ayane would have seen them. She did pass through there. Phrase memorized. Ayane passed through the corridor when... Remember when she went to get us ice cream? Yeah, that's right. Yes, indeed. She went to the kitchen, which is down the hall. She had a few ice creams with her when she headed back. No one else passed by except for Lady Ayane. The inspector can confirm that much. He was there with me. The ritual room was locked with a bolt from the inside, so no one could go in from the outside. Right. The inspector had to ram the door open. Closed room murder. There's a chance that this wasn't even a murder to begin with. Can I ask you one more thing? What is it? Last night, on the day Kosaku Alto passed away, where were the Kotoshiro house residents back then? Yesterday, the Kotoshiros were meeting with the temple to arrange for the previous head's funeral. They were at home since sunset and until midnight. Except for Master Seiji, that is. Synesthesia phrase memorized. So Seiji wasn't there? Well, it's not out of the ordinary. He goes out to drink during the evenings. No one pays it much mind. I see. Ryo, maybe the person that called Kosaku was... Yeah, out of the Kotoshiros, it has to be Seiji. So Seiji was the sort to go out drinking at nights. Well, he's the kind that doesn't settle down without a drink. But as a servant, I'm in no position to comment on his habits. Okay, I think that's all we can do here. The two say goodbye to Kazuya and leave Fumonen out into the streets. As they go, Ryo hangs her head in thought. What's wrong? Just a little something. Starting to think that this isn't a serial murder over succession rights, but if that's the case, then there's a common culprit here. Common culprit? Wouldn't it make sense? If somebody killed Kosaku, everyone has an alibi except for Seiji. They were meeting with the temple's priest. I don't think they'd lie about that, since we can just ask to see if they're telling the truth. And now Seiji, the one person without an alibi, is dead, and everyone else has alibis for his death too. So that means everyone in the estate is innocent? Maybe the assumption is that this is a serial murder is wrong to begin with. The Kotoshiro estate is surrounded by patrol cars. A crowd of onlookers is standing a distance away, whispering curiously among themselves. Ryo crossed through the audience as they were ushered in. Once they told the police they were related to the case. A number of officers are standing in front of the door to the seclusion room. The atmosphere is quite flustered. Noticing Rio's approach, the officers block the way. Hey, we're currently investigating the crime scene. Can't go any further. Where can I find the inspector? Inspector? He's checking the room. Either way, please clear out. Apparently, asking around here is not an option. Rio and Manabe decide to go elsewhere. Ryoko and Akane are in the parlor. Ryoko regards Rio and Manabe with cold eyes, but Ayane, by contrast, gestures for them to come closer. Ryoko looks at Rio and Manabe over with an expressionless face and parts her lips to speak. Ayane told me about you. I take it you're looking into Kosaku's death? Yeah, we were hoping to ask you a few things about that. Ryoko's attitude wasn't particularly oppressive, but Rio speaks while feeling oddly pressured. Kosaku's daughter, Mie, is a friend of mine, and I want to get to the bottom of this for her sake. I see, but I'm afraid I can't do anything to help you. I know nothing about this whole affair. Sensing that Rio is a bit overwhelmed by Ryoko's pressure, Manabe follows up. But don't you think it's odd that as the old family head passes away, Kosaku, one of the heir candidates, passes away? Well, I wouldn't know. If I had to guess, perhaps it's Koto Shiranushi's rage at work? That's unscientific rubbish. Kosaku cast aside his duty as the future head and left this household, choosing to be adopted into another family. That selfish man drove his car into a watery grave, not unlike Koto Shiranushi when he was cornered by Taka Mikazushi and forced to hide under his boat. Seiji was too frisky with the bottle and had one brush with the law too many. He shames our family name and was shot in the back. It's quite similar to how Ameno Wakiko was shot to death for forgetting his duties. Both are stories relating to the transfer of the land. I see, and you truly believe this? Just to say it. At least, I think so, that's all. I heard Kosaku was supposed to come here today and discuss the matter of the inheritance. Is that true? Yes, that was the plan. I don't think Kosaku was going to nominate himself as an heir. What makes you think so? Well, if he is going to do the succession ritual, he'd have to forego eating eggs and meat, right? Since Koto Shiranushi dislikes those foods. But last night when he had dinner with us, and it didn't look like he cared about that, he ordered a chicken dish. Ryoko had listened to Rio with closed eyes, but opens them silently upon hearing this. I see. Your assumption is probably correct. I too suspect as much. He would have likely participated in the ritual as part of the process, and had no desire to become the next head. Ryoko, is that what you think? To begin with, he cast aside this family because he had no such attachment to those matters. I doubt he suddenly started wishing for that position. Right. I don't think Ryoko's lying. I thought Ryoko would profit the most from Seiji's death, since the position of the family head would fall to her. And if she knew Kosaku wasn't a rival to that position, she had no motive to kill him. Incidentally, yes? Mie, you called her? Kosaku's bereaved child? Yes, Mie. She may be a child of the Ato family, but she is still my niece by blood. I'm willing to extend her aid, so she does not live in want. Do tell her that if she's in trouble, she may come to us for help. I will. Rio did worry for Mie, who had lost her father, and she was relieved by Ryoko's words. If this was true, Mie would not have to struggle with making a living. Alright. How long are they gonna block off the hallway? They're inspecting the crime scene? Yeah, it's just so hot though, I'm gonna melt. We had some together earlier. Do you still have more in stock? Yeah, I got my own fridge just for ice cream. I can eat as much as I want and never run out. Your own fridge for ice cream? Are you really a rich young lady then? Isn't everyone in the family having their own fridge normal? No way, I don't even think I'd have enough food to fit in more than one fridge. Man, the police keep blocking me off. I just want ice cream. Ayane, your uncle just passed away. What's your demeanor? Fine. I think that's all we can do here. Sorry for bothering you while you're busy. Upon entering the restaurant, Rio speaks to the waiter that served them yesterday. Aren't you the one from yesterday? Did you meet with Mr. Kazuya? Yes, thanks to your help. That's good. So, how can I help you today? Doesn't look like you came here to dine with us. Actually, I want to ask about what kind of non-alcoholic cocktail the person I was with yesterday had. Like its ingredients. Ingredients? Yes, could you show me the bottle? I think it was called Pear Banquet. Give me a moment. The waiter disappears into the kitchen and returns with a bottle in hand. This is Pear Banquet. The ingredients are listed as pear juice, grapefruit, carbonated water, and sweetener. Phrase memorized. There's grapefruit juice mixed in there too? Yes, the cocktail is made by mixing 2 types of fruit juice, so... I see. Thank you very much. I'm sorry to have bothered you. Leaving the baffled waiter behind, Rio rushes out of the restaurant. Wait up, Rio. What was that all about? Does that have anything to do with the case? It has everything to do with it. You should be thinking of Kosaku and Seiji's death as completely separate from each other. What do you mean? He might have an alibi for Kosaku's death, but we can't assume Seiji's death is completely unrelated. What do you mean by that? Rio, answer me. Ignoring Manabe's puzzled question, Rio walks off. Manabe gives up on asking any questions and goes after her. A number of officers are standing in front of the door to the seclusion room. The atmosphere is quite flustered. They notice Manba was inside. Inspector, can I ask you a few things? Oh, it's you. What is it? Can we see the crime scene? The seclusion room? That's a bit of a tall order. Please, we won't touch anything. We just want to look. Well, fine. I'll come with you then. Just to make sure you don't touch anything. Understood. Cracking a small smile, Manba leads the two into the room. This doesn't look like a normal bow. It's a crossbow, right? Yeah, I knocked it away when I burst the door open. It was originally covered by that cloth over there. We suspect it was fixed on the box over there, but why is there a crossbow in this room? Well, it seems Seiji brought it previously. I thought it was thrown through the window. Huh? This belongs to Seiji himself? Apparently he bought it a few years ago and used it to shoot animals around the area. That's awful. He received fines from the police for breaking animal rights. Apparently Miss Ryoko put the bow here, since this room isn't in use. There's no way it misfired now and killed him, right? That's too much of a coincidence. Yeah, that's quite hard to imagine. There's a little window here. Small window along the wall peeking out. Rio discovers it leads to the courtyard. Of course, it's not large enough for a person to pass through. What if the crossbow is just a diversion and someone shot Seiji through here. I doubt that. Given Seiji's position when we found him, hitting him in the back from there would be impossible. Yeah, you're right. Goldfish bowl. I've read mysteries where a goldfish bowl was used to start a fire. It gathers sunlight and functioned like a burning lens. There was actually cases of a plastic bottle full of water causing a fire to break out. That said, this goldfish bowl is mostly empty, so that phenomenon couldn't happen here. It's only got a bit of water. Check this out. What? See the tatami over there? There are burn marks on it. Faint burn marks. Like Manabe says, there are faint burn marks across from where the crossbow supposedly was. I wonder why. Maybe it was burned by a cigarette or something of the sort. Yeah, that could be, but I can't imagine such a rich family would leave a burn mark in a room meant for an important ritual. So maybe the burn happened during the ritual for some reason? Yeah, the question is how. This is the kind of thing you usually see at a shrine. It's called a himorogi. I assume it was set up as the ritual for Koto Shiranushi. I get that. It's still a pretty scary sight. There's some string here. Ryo whispers after looking closely at the crossbow. True enough, there's a string tied to the crossbow trigger. It's severed some 4 inches along the length of the string. What's this? There's traces of a pin being fixed in place by a string. The details aren't clear yet. Looks like it was rigged so once the string is severed, the crossbow will shoot. So even if whoever did this isn't in the room, they could just sever the string and get Seiji shot? That's a possibility, but the remaining string is only 4 inches in each direction. You can't cut it without being in the room. And when we heard the scream, none of us were near it. Kazuya was the closest, but I was there with him. Maybe Seiji was the one who severed the string? What do you mean? It was rigged so cutting the thread would make the crossbow fire, but what if Seiji was somehow tricked into cutting it himself? But in that case, it's weird that he was shot in the back. We heard him recite the Abisu chant up until the moment he yelled. Can't imagine him chanting while cutting the string attached to the crossbow at the same time. You're right about that. This is still bothering me. This is a room for a ritual. Why is there a tank here, and an empty one at that? Ryo crosses her arms and thought for a moment. The sight she's seen flashed through her mind. Wait, what is it? Manabe, you got footage of what happened in this room, right? Could you show it to me? Sure, but a bit overwhelmed by Ryo's aggressiveness, Manabe searches through her camcorder's memory. Here it is. She hands Ryo the camera, with a preview monitor replaying the moment they discovered Seiji's body. Ryo looks at the footage intently and whispers, I knew it, I wasn't remembering wrong. Compare the goldfish tank to the one in the video. There's absolutely no water in the goldfish tank in the video. But now there's a bit of water in the same tank. Inspector, none of the officers put any water into this tank, right? Of course not. Preserving the crime scene is essential. None of us would do that. And this might be a key to solving this mystery. What kind of key is it exactly? That's what we need to figure out. That's pretty undependable for how confident you are. I guess this is everything that draws my attention. The burn mark on the mat, the string on the crossbow, and a bit of water in the goldfish tank. All those facts were rotating in Rio's mind. There's something in this room that makes no sense, and that's the key to solving this mystery. And that thing is, it's... Manabe and Manba both turn to Rio as she exclaims loudly, "That's it, that's what it was. I solved the mystery. Inspector, can you gather all people involved with the case here?" But Manba is perplexed, but Rio simply regards him with a smile beaming with confidence. Rio Part 1, The Solution. One hour later, gathered in the Kotoshira's estate parlor are Ayane and her mother, Kazuya, the servant, and Mie. They're all informed by Manba that the culprit has been discovered, and so everyone present are viably quite nervous. Under that heavy atmosphere, Rio enters the room with Manba and Manabe. "Greetings everyone, thank you for waiting. Seems everyone I've called for is accounted for. Inspector, you summoned us here saying that the culprit has been discovered. Does this mean both Kosaku and Seiji were killed by someone?" "I believe Miss Rio here will explain that. Miss Rio, if you will." "Right." At Mamba's introduction, Rio takes a step forward. As she does, the room fills up with noise. "Wait just a moment. This young lady is going to explain it?" "My apologies, Inspector, but as jokes go, this is quite tasteless. Isn't she just a civilian?" Everyone begins complaining, but Rio silences them with a single thundering exclamation. "Silence! True, I'm just a civilian, but I was the one who figured out the culprit behind this case. I'd like to share that truth with all of you, but I think holding a question and answer session should make it easier to understand. So to that end, I need one of you to act as my partner here. Ayane." Ayane replies with an odd, somewhat squeaky voice at being named. "Me?" "Yes, I'll start explaining my reasoning, so if anything doesn't make sense to you, I want you to call me out on it. I don't mind if you try to outright argue me, alright?" "Fine, I guess, but it's really weird seeing you like this." Ayane complained, but steps up to the plate nonetheless. Seemingly satisfied, Rio takes a single deep breath and parts her lips to speak. "When I tried to solve Kosaku and Seiji's deaths, the biggest issue was that there was no sign that they were done by the same culprit. The one that might have killed Kosaku that night was Seiji. Everyone else has alibis." "Yeah, that's right. Mom, Kazuya, and I were in a meeting discussing the previous head's funeral." "Yes, but then the only person without an alibi is Seiji died next, in which case the two murders didn't have a common culprit. So I stopped thinking this as a serial murder and tried to focus on Seiji's death. As a result, I figured out who killed Seiji." She already said this, but Rio once again points out that she found out who the culprit was. Everyone present exchanged doubtful glances. Among everyone, Ayane alone replies in her usual tone. "I'm only arguing here because you told me to, but Uncle Seiji was in a closed room. How could he have been murdered?" "Well, the crossbow we found in that room had a string tied to the trigger. The string was fixed to the trigger and strained in such a way that if it were cut in a certain moment, it would fire." "No, but no one was around the room when Uncle Seiji was shot. No one could have cut the string. The string wasn't directly cut by someone, it was cut using the power of nature, and there were traces proving that in the room. The proof is, faint burn marks. I'm guessing a fire cut the string? The burn marks on the tatami. The tatami? Yes, you know what a burning lens is? It's when a mirror, water, or plastic bottle serve as a lens to reflect sunlight and cause a fire. And that's the culprit's trick this time, hence the burn marks on the tatami mat. Wait, hold up. Wait a sec. There weren't any mirror or plastic bottles in the room, so how? They used a certain object, and only one person could have set it up. In other words, whomever set it up was the culprit. But like, when and how did the culprit set it up? It's still a closed room, you know? Well, that was... Kusaku's car sank into the lake at 9:30. On the night Kusaku died, Seiji was the only member of the Kotoshiro family out of the estate. When the incident happened, no one walked through the corridor after Ayane passed through. This one, I think? Ayane, you went out to get us ice cream before the incident happened, right? I did, but I just went to the kitchen and came back. I didn't go into the seclusion room. Kazuya saw me, didn't he? Kazuya nods in agreement, but Ryo continues as if not paying it any mind. Right, you couldn't enter the seclusion room, but couldn't you just take the back door from the kitchen to the backyard? And in the backyard, there's a small window leading to the seclusion room. Wait up, you're trying to make this sound like I'm the culprit, but why would I do it? A burglar could have snuck over the fence or through the back entrance or something. No, to pull off this crime, you had to have gone through the kitchen once. The kitchen? Why would the culprit have to go through there? Why would they have to go through the kitchen? I have evidence that can explain it, and that's... There's a bit of water in the goldfish tank. The goldfish tank in the seclusion room. The culprit used the goldfish bowl as a burning lens. Huh? Hilarious. Hilarious? Yeah, that's hilarious. I mean, was there any water in the goldfish tank? It can't function as a burning lens without any water, right? Right, and that's how I figured out you were the culprit, Ayane. Huh? When we heard Seiji scream and run into the room, the goldfish tank looked empty. But when we checked it later, there was a bit of water at the bottom of the tank. What the hell? Maybe you saw wrong, and it can't even function as a lens, so a little water, it's possible. What? Assuming that a bit of water was actually ice that clung to the glass. There's actually a TV show that tried and successfully used ice as a lens to start a fire. In other words, an ice lens would have been used to burn off the string and set off the crossbow. But how could you make a lens of ice? That show used a board to polish the ice into a lens shape, but it's even simpler if you use a goldfish tank shape. First you take the bowl, put a bit of water into it, and put it in the fridge while it's tilted. Then you put water in the other side and freeze it the same way. This gives the impression that there's no water in the tank. You can probably use anti-fog spray or natural detergent to make sure no water droplets surface on the ice. And as time passes by, the ice melts, leaving only a bit of water in the tank. It was set up so that if one were to check after the crime, they wouldn't be able to tell a burning lens was used. The culprit kept the tank in the fridge and then waited to place it in the seclusion room through the window. And they found a good spot earlier. Seiji was facing forward and performing the Bitsu chant, so he probably didn't notice the noise from outside. Then as time went by, the sunlight reflected off the lens, burned the string, and fired the arrow. That was the trick behind this case. And the only one who went through the kitchen and could have done it was you, Ayane. I guess it's the end of the line. We solved it. Ayane's expression completely changes. She shrugs as if a weight has been taken off her shoulders. Right, and you got it all right. I did it. That asshole would always drink and get violent. He'd shoot animals with his crossbow, beat Kazuya. He didn't deserve to be the family head. So I've been preparing forever to teach him a lesson. It was the same with Uncle Kosaku. He was a selfish bastard who ran from his family, and Mom had to clean up the mess he left behind. Mom was the only one who kept this family together so far, so she's the one who deserves to be the family head. Ayane, you. But I do feel bad about getting you mixed up in this mess, Rio. For real, sorry. Ayane speaks with her usual bright tone. There's no sign of regret in her expression. If anything, she looks refreshed and relieved. Wait just a moment. Mie, who kept silent until then, speaks up. Her face is contorted with so much anger. Rio had never seen her like this. You killed my father for something like that? You didn't have to go so far. Why'd you have to kill Dad too? I didn't know about your dad. Huh? I didn't kill Uncle Kosaku. I was honestly shocked to hear how he died. Figured so long as it wasn't that piece of shit, Seiji, I wouldn't mind if Uncle Kosaku came back and became the next head. That's a lie, so why? Rio steps forward as if to stop Mie from pressing any more on Ayane. Rio. Mie, what Ayane saying is true. Ayane didn't kill Kosaku. Then who did it? Rio shakes her head and after a pause tells Mie the truth. Nobody set his death up. It was really just an accident. Accident? Mie, you told me Kosaku had high blood pressure, right? And he was taking medicine for it? Yeah, that's part of the reason. That and the drink he ordered in the restaurant, the pear bouquet. The pear bouquet. Yeah, that's the one thing people who are taking high blood pressure medicine aren't allowed to eat or drink. Consuming it makes the medicine work too well, which makes the blood pressure plummet, and make people unable to stand or even pass out. That's, then, the non-alcoholic cocktail he ordered. It was made out of pears and grapefruits. Probably can't eat grapefruits with his medicine, but the drink's called the pear bouquet, and he didn't know. So I think that because he drank it, Kosaku passed out while driving. That's... If I'd have noticed that, Dad wouldn't have died. It wasn't your fault, Mie. It was just an unfortunate coincidence. Mie breaks down in tears and Rio embraces her. Behind them, Manba quietly leads Ayane out of the room. Rio Part 1 Epilogue. The next day, Rio, who had solved everything, is exploring the banks of Lake Shinji with Manabe. So in the end, he realized it in the middle of the investigation that Kosaku was... Yeah, I'm sorry. I figured it would shock Mie. Even back then, I wasn't sure if I should tell her, up until the very last moment. You did good. Manabe gently pats Rio on the head. Losing a loved one so suddenly is tragic. The fact that there wasn't a culprit meant Mie doesn't have to keep holding a grudge against anyone. So in a way, I think you saved her. You think? I hope so. I'm sure of it. You're so nice today, Manabe. That's rude, I'm always nice. So long as you don't start spouting out weird puns. Well, I guess I can't fix that habit. My god. Manabe sighs in exasperation and turns her camcorder at Rio. Now give us a one-liner to wrap things up, star actress. Well, let's go. 3, 2, 1, action. And so ended our encounter with the first case. We couldn't save everyone involved, but I did save a good friend of mine, and I'm satisfied with that. Let's meet again this time, in the land of Iwami. Alright, that was passable. You're back to being strict Manabe again. Alright. That was good. I was hoping more evidence would be used, but my original theory was that Ayane, when she went out to go get popsicles, fired the crossbow through the window in the courtyard. And then just threw the crossbow into the room. But, yeah, it was a little bit more complicated than that. Alright, so next time we'll start Yagumo Part 2. Thanks for watching and see you guys then. Bye.